use your imagination for a moment. Picture this. You're getting up, doing your daily routine, getting on the road, driving to work. There's all the traffic, you hear the honking, the noise. You see people running errands, going to the stores to buy things. People at home paying bills, taking care of family things. Someone flips on the television or looks at their screen and the news just shows more conflict, more shouting, another crisis. It all blends into that noise of everyday life. And suddenly, a voice breaks through the noise. Prepare ye the way of the Lord. Prepare ye the way of the Lord. Just like in the music Godspell, John the Baptist steps into our world and into our routine, calling us to conversion, calling us to change, calling us to take God seriously again. John's message is not sentimental. It is disruptive. It's a wake-up call. Prepare the way of the Lord. Make straight his paths. This second Sunday of Advent, it's a time when we move from simply longing for Christ to actually preparing space for him. And what is the space that Christ desires? Peace. Not just peace out there, but peace in our relationships, in our homes, in our hearts, and most especially, peace with God. Throughout this Advent, our parish is reflecting on this message series, Missing Peace, because we feel it. Peace just seems just out of reach. But why is peace missing? Because relationships are hard. Because our world constantly pushes us into division, competition, and self-protection. And especially at this time, this season, stress rises, expectations increase, and those fault lines in our relationships get exposed. Maybe you know what I mean. The relative who always brings up politics at the family gathering. The sibling who withdrew from the family. That person who drains us emotionally, or that one that is just simply hard to love. Or maybe it's just that person that always needs something but never seems to give back. Our bandwidth shrinks. Too many tasks, too many expectations, too much noise. And when our bandwidth shrinks, conflict increases. I propose there are three major drivers of conflict in human life. First, win versus lose. Who's benefiting more out of this? Who gets more fairness, more credit, or more respect? Two, right versus wrong. Someone must be correct. And of course, we assume it's us. Control versus being controlled. Will you just let me live my life? Do I have to meet your expectations? These are real tensions, real wounds, real places where peace is missing. So what do? Our scriptures give us a way forward. Paul is writing to the Christian community in Rome. It's a community fractured by disagreements, by judgments, and divisions. And he says earlier before the passage we read, pursue what makes for peace and mutual upbuilding. And then in the passage today, he adds, welcome one another as Christ has welcomed you. He doesn't say, agree on everything, be perfectly aligned, think the same way. He says, build peace, build up one another, welcome one another as Christ has welcomed you. This is not sentimental peace. That is sacrificial peace. That is discipleship. So what does peacemaking actually look like? I'll give you another 3. First, bear with one another. This isn't simply just put up with one another, but to make a choice to value the relationship more than the irritation. Families learn to do this all the time. So as preparing my homily, I asked my wife, Chris, give me an example of peacemaking. She says, families. You just got to learn to let it go. And I think she's right. When you bear with someone, you are saying, I choose patience over retaliation. I choose compassion over keeping score. Christ bears with us every day. Second, accept one another. Acceptance is not approving of everything someone does. Acceptance is loving someone where they are at. We all know some of those people that are extra grace required. You know them. They push buttons, they drain the room, they're prickly or hurting or fearful. And Christ says, that person is mine. Love them anyway. Because Christ did that with us. Third, and this is the hardest one, welcome one another. Welcome one another. It takes effort. To welcome is simply not to allow them to be present. To welcome is to invite them in, to make space, to make them feel that they matter. Think of Jesus. He welcomed tax collectors. He welcomed sinners. He welcomed the overlooked. He welcomed the ones people avoided. And that welcome changed their entire futures. It reminds me of a story of a minister friend of mine who was leading a youth group. And they had this one girl that would come to all the youth groups, and that she tended to be very annoying, sometimes disruptive. Every meeting they'd come to, kind of person you kind of wanted to avoid. But he made a decision that he's just going to be compassionate and welcoming every time that she comes. And it went on like that. But then one day, she was in a car accident. And she was in the hospital, and the youth minister went to go visit her. And she saw him, and she teared up, and she said, "You're the one. You're the one. You're the one." And the minister just said, "What do you mean I'm the one?" He says, "You're the one who would always make me feel welcome when nobody else did, that make me feel like I belong there." Sometimes your smile, your greeting, your invitation might be the only welcome that person receives all week. So where do we begin? First, reconcile with God. John the Baptist's entire message leads to the one place: reconciliation with God. We prepare the way of the Lord by clearing what blocks Him from our lives. And just one practical invitation, this Wednesday we're going to have our parish night of reconciliation, an opportunity to come and receive the sacrament of reconciliation. Let the Lord straighten the paths in your heart. Our second graders will be there, and it's been a blessing. I get to teach them, and they're learning how to say, "I'm sorry. I want to make things right. I want to begin again." And what children can do, so can we. So reconcile with God, but also reconcile with others. So think of one person today who is hard to love, who is tiring, who is awkward, who is demanding. And then ask God, how can I bear with them? How can I accept them? How can I welcome them? Not everyone will change. But when we change, peace increases. And when peace increases, Christ draws near. Why do we do this? Because Christ did it first. He bore our weakness. He accepted our immaturity. He welcomed us at our worst. And when we abandoned him, he did not abandon us. He went to the cross so that peace could be restored. And when peace is restored, God's kingdom breaks through. This way of living may not change all of society tomorrow. It may not end the conflict in the world. It may not heal every family problem overnight. But it will change your world. And it might change the world for someone else. That is how Advent prepares us for Christmas. Not by decorating our homes, but by preparing our hearts. Not by shopping, but by reconciling. Not by securing gifts, but by making peace. Prepare ye the way of the Lord. Prepare ye the way of the Lord. Prepare the way by returning to God. Prepare the way by extending peace. Prepare the way by letting Christ do through you what he came into the world to accomplish. Amen.
Amen.